The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience presented by DraftKings 2020 Bermuda Championship. First look, research, maybe some quick picks. I've only made one bet so far after scanning the board, but I will have the entire breakdown for the DraftKings field plus bets on Wednesday afternoon this week. That is when the golf show comes up. And my walkthrough today will be courtesy of fantasynational.com. If you go to fantasynational.com/Mayo, you get full access to everything on fantasynational.com. And you get a 20% discount. The Masters is coming up, so you might want to get familiar with the system right now. A monthly membership will take you through the Masters, and there's some pretty good fields. This is actually quite a fun field, to tell you the truth, after two no-cut events in a row with all the big names and me not winning money, although some of you out there, 4 separate over $10,000 cashes on DraftKings for the Zozo Championship from viewers of the show and members of fantasynational.com. At least those are the 4 that I saw. There could be more floating out there, although I think that's kind of gobbling up all the money. Save some for the rest of us, but congratulations to the people out there last week. Hopefully we can continue to go forward because this Masters prize pool on DraftKings is shaping up to be pretty good. And hopefully using fantasynational.com, we can get access to all of that money and hoard it all for ourselves. All right. Bermuda Championship, it's a crappy field. I'm not going to lie to you about it. The DraftKings pricing isn't out as we're talking right now, although the odds are from DraftKings Sportsbook. I'll get to those in a minute. But just as a course overview, as Rick Gaiman had pointed out on Twitter, that this is the longest course on the island of Bermuda, and it's only 6,800 yards. So Port Royal GC, where they played this for the first time last year, Brennan Todd was the winner at -24, when I think he made like 13 birdies in a row at one point. It was crazy. He beat Harry Higgs by 4 strokes. 6,828 yards, par 71. Greens are Bermuda. Only 132 players in this field. Back to normal cut rules. Top 65 and ties make the weekend after 36 holes. So at least that presents an element of fun onto DraftKings if you have a good Thursday and Friday, that the guys who had crappy Thursday and Fridays aren't still just live to come back and get you at some point. Like everyone who had Ben Ann, he would have missed the cut. Then all of a sudden he shoots like -8 over the weekend. I think he ended up shooting like -12 or something like that just to get himself back into the mix. So it's a cut event. These are always my favorite. And for fields like this in particular, they're the best ones to use fantasynational.com for. fantasynational.com/Mayo. Once again, to get up to date on everything, the show will come out, plus the bets on Wednesday. I did not hit Patrick Cantlay as a winner last week, although a lot of you did, and Jeff Feinberg did. You tailed Jeff. I tailed Jeff on Reed. Didn't tail him on Cantlay. Should have tailed him on Cantlay. I believe he got him at 35-1. I saw a bunch of 33s, a bunch of 28s out there. So congratulations to everyone out there who held the faith. The scrambling game for Cantlay, completely off the charts. And then you would have expected Rahm or Justin Thomas just to walk away with this. If I had just gotten a par, just an even par from Cameron Champ over the final 3 holes, he would have cashed his top 5. That would have been glorious. Would have paid 40-1. Instead, I just got the crappy 9-1 top 10. 9-1, pays for the week and covers all the rest of the bets. But you have the top 10 plus the top 5. All of a sudden, you're high in the money. My guys continue to be Sunday losers every single week. It's kind of astonishing at this point. I guess it's my own fault because I ran so hot right when golf came back out of the COVID break. But just sucks. Every single week, you have a guy right there, and they just absolutely fucking shit the bed on Sunday. It's kind of crazy at this point. So hopefully it's all regressing back to Bryson winning the Masters. I know myself, Jeff, and a lot of you out there, when we put the number out there at 45-1, people smashed it. It's no longer 45-1. It's like 8-1 right now. But if Bryson can just come through for us, we're all going to have a lot of money. So it's going to be fantastic news. So hopefully that continues to go forward. Let's jump on to Fantasy National, though, and take a look. I'm going to set the basic parameters right now before we dig too much into the research at the last 3 months worth of stats. So that's not going to account for everything. On Fantasy National 2, we have done a partnership with the PGA Tour and their stats. So you can click on Corn Ferry, which could be very helpful this week. And those stats will get added in. I just have it set to regular PGA Tour. That is the default setting for the moment, because I want to see how they compete against the big guys. But if you did want to include Corn Ferry, this would be the type of tournament to actually do that, just because there are so many recent grads in the field right now. So let's just hop up to past course conditions and go to the course breakdown. We're going to check in recent results because that's probably going to be the most telling thing this week. I only say that because there's no shot link data for this course. There wasn't from last year, so you're just dealing with very rudimentary stats as it pertains to the Bermuda Championship. So you're not going to have the strokes gain metrics to really point you in the right direction. So we're going to have to kind of piece it together just a little bit. I'm going to flip this over to the custom stat model and create a new one for the Bermuda. I don't think I have a Bermuda one. Let's see, BMW, British Open. No, so we're going to create, Shriners, strong. It was strong this year too. Let's go to new model, and we'll try to chip away at this as we go along here. I'm going to keep off the tee and approach. I'm going to put those at 0 for the moment. Actually, no, I'm going to set approach to 25%. That's almost a standard for me every single week. That's the most important stat you can have, especially at a course like this where it looks like it's going to be a lot of short holes, and see if we can pump something out here. So last year's conditions, it was either easy or average relative scoring to par, greens or Bermuda. Medium firmness and greens. Hitting the fairway proved to be rather difficult last year, although people can club down and have no real problems. You saw the Todd Father, the most accurate player on tour last year, ended up winning. So maybe that is something to note. Even when we go back and take a scan of the leaderboard from a year ago, we can find out. We'll jump to 2020 and see the guys that played pretty well. We go to the leaderboard. Brendan Todd, minus 24, Harry Higgs, Brian Gay, Scotty Scheffler, Hank Lebioda, Aaron Wise. I mean, a lot of those guys are just really good off the tee in general, not necessarily just accuracy, good off the tee players, whether they do it through distance or whether they do it through accuracy. You can see you're going to look for the all 4 rounds in the 70 bonus this week from your guys, but a lot of shorter hitters can compete here. The one bet I actually made already, I'll just reveal it right now, is Russell Knox. I bet him at 66-1. He'd been playing a little bit better, kind of got thrown off the rails a little bit his past 2 times out, but he's been, I wouldn't say trending in the right direction, but gained 4.1 strokes on approach in the Shriners, despite the fact that he lost everywhere else, was bad at Sanderson, played really well at Safeway. But as you can see, he's going back up after a little bit of a lull off the tee, mostly in the negative, but slightly in the negative, but big positive once he gets into the positive. But if you really break it down by fairways versus distance, you can see that despite this little mini run here of not hitting a bunch of fairways, gained at the Shriners, gained at the Wyndham, 3M and Rocket Mortgage, and over his past 5, his good drives gained are up a little bit, and historically has been very good in finding fairways, so hopefully he can recapture that game a little bit. Putts really well on slower, well, not really well, but doesn't putt like a fucking disaster on very slow greens, which this is going to be. You can see this is one of the very few that gets the Velcro rating, so very slow greens. You might deal with a lot of wind as it is a coastal course, so be cognizant of that as we go through it. But it's like I said, it's a short course, slow greens. It's a hit and giggle. It's a lot like last week, to tell you the truth, except you don't have all of the par 5s in the world. It's only a par 71 to kind of go ham on. There were 5 of them last week at Sherwood CC. So it's going to be, can you take advantage of short par 4s? Because that's what we're going to see mainly here. Let's just see if we can find a trick in terms of the scoring. Let's see, birdie rate on number 114. That's not very good. How about as we go through 8, 9, and 10? So 8, 9, we got 9%, 14%, 22, and 9. So I guess if you were playing Showdown, the potential for a birdie streak is much better with people that start on the back 9. Just trying to get 3 birdies in a row from, maybe you go 7, 8, 9, but that would be available to anyone who starts on the back 9 anyway. 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 1, with 11 being the most difficult hole on the course. That might be a little bit trickier to get a birdie run. I know number 1 is the 4th most difficult, but you have 16, 10, and 17, and 15 on the other side. That if you can somehow find a way to birdie number 1 for Showdown purposes, that could work out really well in trying to get that extra 2% chance that you get with a birdie streak. And 3 points in Showdown ain't nothing. Plus it comes along with those birdies as well. So that would be my method, although I wouldn't take crappy players starting on the back over good players starting on the front. You always want to take the best players possible as it comes down to it. Other peculiar things here, you can eagle all 3 of the par 5s, 2%. Number 5 is super easy. The easiest, or number 7, the easiest hole on the course, almost 7% eagle rate on that hole. On number 17, you have 18%. And at 501 yards, 517, they can be reached into by anyone in the field. So I wouldn't just say exclusive bombers. If the bombers hit it as far as they can down the middle of the fairway, then they're going to have an easier time making eagle. that's pretty clear. That's also tougher to do, and it doesn't preclude the Brennan Todds of the world from just hitting it like 275 down the middle of the fairway. They still have an iron, and it's not that big of a deal. The biggest thing that stuck out to me right here, when we look at the par fours, 350 to 400 yards, there are 6 of them on this course. That's pretty shallow. Not a bunch of drivable ones, as you can see. The eagle rate on them is very, very low, but the birdie rate on some of them is just off the charts. And par threes played a bigger factor last year in terms of overall strokes gained on those holes than any other. So if we take a look at those, you have 2 of them that are 225 plus. The 2 longer ones, pretty difficult. We can kind of take a look into those, but we're going to add that right away. Par fours gained 350 to 400 yards, and we'll add par threes just to give us a sense, 225 plus, as there's 2 of the 3, and they're the 2 hardest ones that are out there. And since we don't have the strokes gained metrics, it's a bit tougher to figure out. Last year, the cut was -1, probably be in that same range again. And as you can see, 54% driving accuracy at this course, 62 at a normal course. However, the greens and regulation percentage higher than normal at a course. So it doesn't seem like missing the fairway, as long as you're just in the rough, is going to be that big of a deal. 3-putt percentage, right around normal. Scrambling percentage a bit higher at 61% versus the tour average of 58%, but right along where you would expect to be in this circumstance. So par fours are really going to play a big factor here. The par fives are just very easy. Can you sneak in a few eagles? That would be fantastic in terms of scoring, especially DraftKings scoring. But at the same time, we'll figure out how we're going to parse this a little bit later on. And you can even run a mixed condition model if you want to find out who is good on some of the regular stuff. So if we look at the Zozo and we look at the CJ Cup, only person in the field, KH Lee, who played the CH Cup, and Brendan Todd, who played the last 2 weeks, did not play well, but he is the defending champion at this course. So that's all we're going to see from that. Other than that, if we just go strokes gained total over the past 6 events, it's Will Zalatoris, Peter Malnati, who could set up really well for this event. I didn't even see what his odds were. Let's take a look at Peter Malnati. He is 50 to 1. Don't love that, but this field sucks. So, Luke List, 45 to 1. We'll just take a look at the odds, I suppose, right now. Will Zalatoris, Brendan Todd are the 2 favorites, 11.5 and 14 to 1 from DraftKingsSportsbook.com. Harold Varner, Griot, Redman, all down the list, 20, 25, 30. Charlie Hoffman, 35 to 1. Same as Denny McCarthy. Norlander, 35. Stenson, 35. Tringali. Ventura, 35 to 1. Aaron Wise, all 35 to 1. Then you get into the Stewart Sink. Rasmus Højgaard is over here from Europe. Let's just see how he's been trending over in Europe. If we take a look at his world golf ranking. I know this site was down a bit earlier. It appears like it's going to be down, but I suppose what you need to know right now is that he's number 74 in the world rankings. Rasmus Højgaard is a very good player. Very curious to see how he ends up being priced on DraftKings. If this is a wedge and putting fest, Wes Bryan at 50 to 1 always kind of sticks out. I like Justin Suh a lot. I might end up betting him. 55 to 1 is a pretty good number. I think I can find better than that out there. Like I said, him. And where is the other guy? Where's Russell Knox on DraftKings Sportsbook? I wish I had access to 55 to 1. So yeah, those would probably be my 2 bets, Suh and Russell Knox. Maybe I can find some other value from down the board, like McCumber had been playing really well until he wasn't. He was 3rd in strokes gained, but he had 2 top 10 finishes at, the biggest corollary you're probably going to find is Punta Cana. I don't know how, one's Dominican Republic, one is Bermuda. Maybe some of the shorter Florida courses, because these are Bermuda greens, is somewhere to look at as well. But Zalatoris has just been playing well, 3 top 10s in his past 4 starts. I'm curious to see how expensive he's going to end up being on DraftKings. Other guys playing well, like I said, Justin Suh, a top 10 and a T14. McCumber. Let's see, is there anyone like from down on the list? Stallings, Wes Bryan has a top 12 and has only started on the PGA Tour over the past 6. Luke List, a T8 and 2 cuts. Classic Luke List stuff right there. The official world golf ranking site is not loading at the moment, so you can go dig into Rasmus Højgaard a little bit later on if you want. Just overall consistency, we're not seeing it as much because guys have taken the 2 weeks off. Sink, obviously, a T12, T64, and the win before that at the Safeway. Hostler, 3 cuts in a row. Gillick, the Canadian, always comes out storming the first 2 rounds and just gives it all away on the weekend. Norlander, Stallings is interesting. Tringali is always like a model favorite when we go up and look for it. And Roger Sloan, Wyndham Clark, I had the T13. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great field. This is what we're looking for. Lahiri, I mean, if I have Raza on the show this week, I'm going to reach out to him to see if he has the time to do it. You know he's going to pump up old big, our favorite guy in the world, and Herban Lahiri. Now that he's back, he's driving the ball well, and see how it goes. The tournament history from last year, again, we'll just click on this and check out the leaderboard and just see names that popped up a little bit. You can see how they kind of got it done. Brendan Todd and Harry Higgs, the two that really stick out from this list. Other names up there, you see some of these shorter hitters as well, like David Hearn, another like accuracy, putting, and wedge type player. Too bad Noren was the favorite at this tournament last year. You see, like, just even guys that are too good for this field now. Lonto and Duncan here last year. Not anymore. Not when they get invites to the Zozo and the CJ Cup because they're inflated world ranking now. Rafael Campos, he's back in the field. He tends to play like the Puerto Rico Open. He is from Puerto Rico, but he tends to play these like Caribbean events a lot better than he does the rest of the events on tour. So he is someone interesting to somewhat look at. Chris Baker actually popped up here last year. He's been a favorite of ours, kind of going through it. I'm curious to see. Lebioda was way down on the list. He's someone I've been betting like top 20 recently. You can see that he sucks putting, but the results have been coming along. He's made 4 of his past 5 cuts overall. The iron play had been really good until the Sanderson Farms when he had a really disastrous weekend. He was competing for a top 20 for me there, and Corrales almost figured out a top 20. If he can get it all together, that's a big ask from Hank Lebioda. But at the same time, these are the types of scrubs that we're dealing with down here. So let's set this particular par 4 scoring to 10%. We'll set that par 3. We'll set that to, we'll set it to 5% because that can account for some of the approaches as well. Off the tee, we'll go 15%, but we'll juice up driving accuracy as well. That is fairways gained. Overall, let's see here. Fairways gained, we'll set that to 10. We'll set it to 5%. We'll play around with these at the end. You know I'm going to want wedge approaches 100 to 125 this week, just because of all of the short par 4s. And we'll see how, I mean, even some of the par 5s for some of these guys. We'll set that to 10% in terms of proximity, and we'll set 200 plus to 5%. For some of the approaches on the par 5s as well. We're just going to have to eyeball test this here, only because we don't have the actual distribution from ShotLink to go along with it. So what else do we want? We have approach, short game, less of a factor here. We want to use opportunities gained. I really like opportunities gained. We'll set that at 10%. What are we up to here? We're at 85%, so we can probably juice up approach a little bit more to 30% or so. We'll add putting in and call that 10%, although you probably want, actually, you know what? We'll go in with Eagles and set that, and we'll go with putting and set them both to 5% to see how that goes. And just see what the model spits us out here. You can rig this any way you want. This is probably not going to be the final model that I use for the week, but I always like to see sort of a standard of where everything is at. And we'll call this Bermuda, and we'll call it Championship so I don't get it confused with my Bermuda putting type 1. I have that set as a mixed condition model, and which you can save in the sneak peek if you want to go through that. But I have a feeling Zalatoris is going to be spit out at the top once we start trying to factor everything in. All right, let's see what we're looking at here. What do I have it set to for starters? Last 50 rounds, custom date range. Let's set that to past 3 months and run it again, just so we have a shorter type view of what's going on. So past 50 rounds, my ranking. Emiliano Grillo, number 1. Doc Redman, Will Zalatoris, Justin Sayesa is definitely going to get a bet from me here. I'm going to take a look on my books. Like I said, 55 to 1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I would bet that as it was anyway. Oh, God, Scott Piercy. Hopefully there's no QAnon conspiracy going on at the Bermuda Championship. I mean, he'd be the first one to find out about it, so maybe he has a leg up on the competition. I don't know. Very good at Shriners in terms of ball striking. Very good at Sanderson Farms in terms of, oh, fuck, I'm going to end up betting Scott Piercy, aren't I? Jesus. This always turns out very poorly for me. Piercy coming in at 50 to 1. Not a great value by any means. We look at, oh, good, my guy Duffner ranks out 7th. Thanks, Duff. Obviously, the putting, not great. I feel like he let me down the last time, too. Duff. Oh, no, he was putting it around the green, had a bad Safeway in terms of approach. The one tournament he actually putted in. Missed the cut his last 2, but the ball striking numbers have been on point. Let's see where old Duff Daddy is coming out. Duffner's 70 to 1. I know you can get a better number than that. Danny Willett is in this field? Good God, Danny. What are we doing here? So Grillo, Christoph Ventura, Malnati ranks inside the top 10. So no real like sleepers. Chris Baker, who did have a T31 at this event last year, comes in 12th as we look along the longer term. Russell Knox does rank 15th. So I'm happy with that as it comes out. His proximity from the short range wedge. If we just kind of sort by who is the best from that wedge range, Bo Van Pelt, 9 rounds of data. Straka, Aaron Wise. Is Aaron Wise making a comeback? Don't call it a comeback for Aaron Wise, or maybe we should. I don't know. 17th at Sanderson. He had a good Sanderson Farms and still only came 17th. I'll probably be off Aaron Wise. Another Ben Raza favorite. Stumanji, these are Bermuda Greens. This is the type of tournament where Brian Stewart would play well. Safeway was the last one we kind of had going on. Let's see. Bermuda 51st last year. And it's going to be one of these weeks where we have to pick between all these losers, isn't it? As you can see with some of the rounds here for some of these guys, even over the past 3 months, we're not getting... Do I have anything clicked on over here? No, I don't. These are just overall. Not a lot of weighted rounds for some of these guys. You can extend it past 3 months if you want to. Let's take a look at opportunities gain. Opportunities gain instead of greens in regulation. It is a green in regulation or green in under regulation or fringe and under regulation. That is inside 20 feet from the pin. That is what we call an opportunity gain. Justin and Jason Duffner, along with Charlie Hoffman. This is just basically a scoring stat. At tournaments where birdies are going to be aplenty, you want the guys generating the most birdie opportunities. That's what opportunities gained is. So I would lean with those guys a little bit too. Who ranks out on? Luke List is on there. Kyle Stanley, number 9. Ricky Burns, Tricky Ricky. Good God, Ricky Burns, what are we doing here? I feel like where was he good recently? I just remember seeing his name on the leaderboard. Like, fucking Ricky Burns. Oh, made 2 cuts in a row. 23rd and 31st. Ricky Burns, fire him up. First round leader. May have to use him if he's a cheap price on DraftKings as well. Russell Knox, 14th in that number. Arjun Atwell, another guy who makes a ton of eagles. Not recently, but just by and large, it's just really weird to see him up there. Bermuda Benny. Oh, Ben Martin ranks out 21st in this model. Good God. Guess we should probably... He has 2 made cuts in his past 2 starts. No decent finishes, though. What else are we looking at here? Rob Oppenheim, always better with wedges in his hand, as you can see. If we just look at those short par 4s, we got Josh Teeter, who finished very well at this tournament last year. Only 9 rounds of data to account for him, but he is the best in the field over the past 3 months. Let's extend this one out to past 6 months and see what it is. How's Teeter been doing? 2 miscuts in a row. Nothing really happening, but second in Puerto Rico, which is interesting, another Caribbean event. And then at Bermuda last year, 11th. That's really weird. Corrales, he just doesn't play well. He's missed the cut 2 years in a row. So maybe he's someone who can ball strike it with the best of them at times. So interesting to see. So if we go back and look at it, Cameron Percy, who had been playing a lot better recently, the best. Teeter still second, even over the past 6 months. Harold Varner, Kiradesh, Affy Barnrat, who actually ranks out first if you look at Velcro putting over the past 50 rounds. So maybe Kiradesh can get his act back together. Seifert, Hadley, Michael Gillick, Bryce Garnett, Max Homa, who just set a course record at like a home course in Florida. Take that for what it's worth. Nick Watney, Kevin Tway, Kelly Craft. Funny with Kelly Craft, always plays really well at Corrales too, and did it again despite the fact that we haven't seen much from him. Oh, that's Duffner. That's Aaron Wise, Brian Stewart, Ben Martin. Where's Kiradesh? Kiradesh, here we are. Better on Bermuda, as always. Horrendous at Sanderson Farms. Made the cut at Corrales. It's been a rough go for our guy. Hasn't placed in a top 10 since the CJ Cup last year. So it's been an entire 12 months on the PGA Tour, at least for Kiradesh, that he has generated a top 10 finish. But always an interesting play because he was once one of the better players in the world, and you get to have him at it. Stenson is going to be the crazy one. I keep buying into Stenson. Over the past 6 months, it's only 14 rounds of data. 4th in fairways game, best in the field at par 3s over 225 yards, 15th in eagle rate, shitty putting. The irons have just been off for him, which is a grave concern when you're someone like Henrik Stenson, and that's kind of your game. But I'll probably get sucked back into them because I'm a giant fish who loves name recognition, and I can go with that again. But Justin Sue, Jason Duffner, God, Duffner. And Russell Knox are probably going to be my guys. Maybe Seb. Seb ranks out ranks out 10th over the past 6 months. The ball striking had been really good. 14th, 33rd, miscut, 43rd. If he gets that putting back to what it was, he's been in the putting almost in every range that we look at over the past 5, 10, 20, 51 tournaments in terms of putting. Like, he's a good player. He sucks around the green, but I doubt that's going to make that much of a difference here. Mayo v. Chagas, too. Only 8 rounds of data on the PGA Tour. 23rd at Sanderson Farms. Led tee to green that week. Good on approach, bad off the tee at Shriner. Still gained 3 on approach to the putting. Horrendous. But if we look at his splits, better on Bermuda than anywhere else. Shriners was not Bermuda. I believe that was bent. Sanderson Farms was Bermuda. Still lost almost 6 strokes there. But an intriguing figure. Where does Mayo come in here? Maybe as a top 20 bet if he's not too far down. Cameron Percy at 90 to 1 is actually not a terrible value. Mayo 225 to 1. Yeah, I'm going to bet that for sure. Maybe I can be talked in or out of it as it comes down to it once I do the DraftKings show on Wednesday and I have a better sense of the breakdown. But again, that's how I'm doing this for the first look right now. You can find all the odds up at DraftKingsSportsbook.com. You can get the entire modeling, not mine, but you can create your own. You can see how I just walk through each of the steps and doing my quick look for research. FantasyNational.com/Mayo gets you full access. It also gets you 20% off. I believe that brings the monthly down to like $24, and it gives you the Masters at the same time. You're going to invest more than that betting and DraftKings wise at the Masters alone. Plus you get 4 other tournaments to go along with it on that monthly. That it's well worth your time to really dig in and make your entries actually worth something to get all the data that you need from Fantasy National. So I highly recommend you go do that now. Thank you all for watching. Smash the like button while you're out there. I really enjoy doing these. I get to walk you through my process. Last week on DraftKings, I ended up losing money because Cantlay won. If Thomas or Rahm had won, I would have been up a whole bunch. Losing their points put me on the bubble in almost every big single entry tournament. So the 200 and both 100s that I played fucking sucked. So I ended up taking a bath. I think I was like a minus 85 ROI because I'm Pat Mayo. I'm not great at this stuff. But research-wise and using the tools, pretty good at that. And it's led people to use them better than I use them to make their picks. So hopefully you can do that too. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!